ever since the Stone Age. 2018. Gamers all over the world have been discussing linear and open-ended game design more often than ever before. Today we have the technology where some games are built on the premise of doing whatever you want whenever you want. More companies have tried their hand at open world games just because it's an option now. The reason 2018 was the height of this topic was because of Nakey Jakey's Red Dead Redemption 2 critique. He pointed out how Rockstar's formula for missions completely ruins the illusion of the open world, because while Red Dead Redemption 2 is massive, the missions are super restricting, meaning if you step out of the line Rockstar wants you to stay on, it's an immediate mission fail. It's a valid critique, and I've heard a lot of valid criticisms basically preaching the same thing. And this video is a response to that common criticism, because I just don't think it's as black and white as linear bad, sandbox good. You've probably heard a lot of people call Minecraft the best game of all time, the perfect game, the Mona Lisa. And the reason is because you are the writer of Minecraft's story. Every file is different because you can approach the world in different ways, and although there is technically an end game, that being defeating the Ender Dragon, of course, there's no pressure to do so. You can try to beat Minecraft as fast as possible, you can roleplay as a miner. What do you mean by that? You can do virtually anything you want within the limits of procedural generation. While it's true that Minecraft is infinite, it's certainly not infinitely interesting. For those who don't know what procedural world generation is, it's when the computer makes the world instead of the developer. The reason Minecraft goes on forever is because the computer can just keep making new space for the player to use. The problem is that an AI-generated world will always just feel like white noise that you can walk on. The beauty of an open world is that there's interesting things to discover. I would have never known about the giant snake in Red Dead 2 if I didn't explore, and that's the beauty of a handcrafted world. A creative human developer has the power to make a world interesting that makes our monkey brains go but a computer just can't. A computer can, however, make a forest or a hill or a field or a cave that looks like every other cave. Man, this guy should get a job at Ubisoft. While we're on the topic of AI, I'd like to hand out this very special bird to anybody who calls themselves an AI artist. Yes, this is for you. Although your anime drawings have 13 fingers and a crooked eye, my middle finger still works, and I keep it healthy for AI artists just like you. The player's imagination carries Minecraft, and it very well could be the best sandbox game ever created. But what Minecraft lacks, because of the blank space left for the player to fill, is an engaging narrative. The more freedom you give the player, the less natural you can make a story work in a video game. And while the white canvas approach works for Minecraft, it can't really work for Rockstar, especially in the modern day. Wait, you think we're gonna talk about a subject and not bring up Rockstar? Back in 2001, every game had to be simple, because I mean the best console at the time was the PlayStation 2, and if I have to get into specifications, it used a few rocks, a tumbleweed, and 32 megabytes of RAM, which wasn't at all bad at the time, but developers had to make their games within the console's limits. GTA 3 is an open world game that was made in 2001. It's praised because of the sandboxing nature of all its missions. In GTA 3, you don't get mission fails by not doing things the way Rockstar wants you to. When Rockstar gives you the objective, kill the guy, it's just that. You can kill the guy in any way you want. I love GTA 3 for this reason. It's super replayable, and even though it's an outdated mess, it's very different from Rockstar's modern titles, and it basically set the foundation for the modern day open world game. However, the problem with GTA 3's kill the guy approach is that the entire game doesn't really make sense. Yes, I can kill the guy in any way I want, but there was nothing beforehand that really makes me dislike the guy. I mean, I kind of feel bad for the guy, to be honest. And the story for GTA 3 suffers because of the simple sandboxy game design. Claude is on a mission to search for his evil ex-girlfriend, but for some reason, he just accepts these random jobs from these random people that don't help him on his journey whatsoever. Claude doesn't speak, so there's no meat to his character. The bad guys aren't very interesting because there's no reason to dislike them. I mean, even Salvatore was only seen in cutscenes. I find in these videos, I always end up saying something really controversial about a game, but I just can't discuss this topic without bringing up Breath of the Wild, okay? Breath of the Wild was wildly praised, see what I did there, and was compared to a lot of open world games coming out after its release. It allowed the player to explore the very interesting world of Zelda at their own pace. While the game is replayable, fun, and also beautiful, the art style is nothing short of genius, the story suffers because of its design. Nintendo made Breath of the Wild's most interesting thing the world, so they had to cut down the story. So you can run straight to Ganon and save the princess at the beginning of the the game, but because of that, Ganon isn't interesting or hateable, Zelda is not interesting, and none of the main characters really get any screen time. Every optional scene that gives context to the story is given to you in the form of a flashback, and it leaves the narrative feeling unfinished. Thankfully, everything else about Breath of the Wild carries the game, but half a decade prior, Nintendo released Skyward Sword for the Wii. I've been playing the fuck out of it, to be honest. Although Skyward Sword was a linear game, like every other Zelda game before it, it also had an incredible story, with characters that made me laugh and cry and sit on my ass playing for hours because I wanted to know what happened next. Breath of the Wild and Skyward Sword are amazing games for different reasons, and I think comparing them basically brings my point together perfectly. A linear game may have its restrictions, but because you're forced to engage in the story and the game revolves around the story, it in turn makes the story more important to the player and, in general, improves the narrative. I don't think it's a bad thing at all for a game to prioritize the writing over the world sometimes, which brings me to the last big topic of the video, Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game that has a special place in many hearts because of its incredible storytelling. A criticism that gets thrown around a lot is that during story missions, the open world around it kind of just stops. And while I understand that perspective, because yes, it certainly could have been better in some cases, it would hurt the story if the gameplay was similar to, let's say, the Elder Scrolls. In Skyrim, I can get somewhere in the story that's tense and urgent, but right when something climactic is about to happen, I can change my mission, run away, and do something else. While it's fun to do that, I've always lost interest in the quest lines I've put on pause because they just don't feel as natural anymore. Imagine if in Red Dead, when Arthur got caught by the O'Driscolls, he just walked off and started playing cards or something, then had to go back to that camp and escape it to complete the mission. Yes, it would be liberating for the player, but it would also hurt the immersion. Another criticism of Red Dead I hear a lot is that you can't save in missions, and I agree that in certain points you should be able to turn the game off and come back to it later. But spoilers for the ending of the game, imagine you're fighting Micah on the mountaintop. You quit out of the game and come back a month later to that exact spot. All of the tension building up to that moment would have completely disappeared, and it wouldn't be nearly as impactful. Red Dead Redemption 2 restricts the player to how Rockstar wants to tell the story, and in my opinion, they tell it really well, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I think that a sandbox approach would work for Grand Theft Auto, because when people see Grand Theft Auto, they think crime, mayhem, cars. But Red Dead Redemption screams story literally in its name. If it was a sandbox open world western, it wouldn't be called Red Dead Redemption. It would be called Cowboy Craft, or even more accurately, Red Dead Online. Red Dead Online lets you play the game at your own pace, and you can do anything whenever you want. I know it sounds crazy, but if you want a Red Dead game that doesn't cling to a story, play Red Dead Online. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about regarding this topic, which is how can GTA 6 blend sandbox and narrative perfectly? I actually do agree with a lot of people that Rockstar has gotten really mushy with the mission failed approach to game design. What I hope and honestly think they'll do with GTA 6 is get used to the idea that maybe alerting the target is okay. Yes, you should get it right and assassinate the target, or you could miss and alert everything, but instead of failing the mission, maybe it turns into a chase scene, or instead wipe out the security because you messed up. What if some story missions are only available due to the choices you make in the game? I mean, GTA 4, 5, and Red Dead 2 did this, so GTA 6 definitely will, but I'd like if they would expand on the concept and make a lot more missions change because of something the player does. I think not being able to save mid-mission is okay. I think restricting missions is fine if it helps the story feel real, but maybe to appease both parties, there should just be a bigger tree of things that can happen within that mission formula Rockstar loves to use. But yes, I think that linear worlds and sandbox games can hold hands and even blend together. Both have their pros and cons, and I just wanted to shed some light on what works with linear game design in this video. If you guys have anything you'd want to say about this topic, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll check it out as soon as I can. I really appreciate your guys' patience with my uploads. I'm really sad that I can't upload as much as I used to, but that won't be a forever thing. There will come a day where I will be replying to almost every comment I can, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be uploading twice a week. But life is life, and things come that are super unpredictable, so thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video, and make sure to have a good one.